Chapter 295, God-level angel, first battle, TL by Babelson. You clearly know I've already become a god, and you still choose to fight me. So what if it's human? So what if it's God? Don't tell me you don't know that some things in this world cannot change. There's a saying you haven't heard. I'll teach it to you now. What? Chen Rinchu's face was already unsightly. Tang San went straight to the point, intoning word by word. Better, broken, jade, burn, intact, tile, you. Chen Rinchu's face twisted, her smile completely obliterated. An indescribable dignity spread from her, and the pressure that hit Tang San actually made him feel like his feet were lifting off the ground. If not for the sea god trident, he might have been pushed back. A hazy golden splendor appeared on the surface of her body like mist. In that instant, she truly became like the focal point of heaven and earth. The feeling like the strength of the universe had fused into one made Tang San feel like Chen Rinchu was no longer real. Her body seemed to fill every corner of the space, instead of standing in front of him. This was the power of gods. Sensing the pressure of the enormous strength of the world, Tang San felt powerless from the depths of his heart. When just the presence produced such enormous pressure, it was clear what level the power of gods reached. Chen Rinchu in front of him was shining all over, seeming as if every motion of hers could encompass everything in the surroundings. The sea god trident Tang San held transmitted a scorching heat, as if excitedly thirsting for clashing with the god of angels. But Tang San also inwardly felt a pang of bitterness. The sea god trident was a true divine tool. Of course it wouldn't worry about any opponent. But, as the person holding it, he still hadn't reached the level of gods. Tang San, don't tell me you believe you can escape from me today. Chen Rinchu glared at Tang San's eyes, her ice-cold oppressive gaze seeming to shoot into his soul. Tang San shook his head. Don't tell me you didn't listen. Better broken jade than intact tile. I'm not thinking about escaping, but even in death, I won't become someone who bends knee and surrenders. My father once taught me that a man, no matter when, will stand straight. While speaking, Tang San stamped the sea god trident against the ground. With an explosive sound, the ground cracked within a 10-meter range of him, rich and powerful imposing manner mixing with surging fighting spirit, just managing to block Chen Rinchu's omnipresent pressure. Tang San's overbearing resolve made Chen Rinchu a bit despondent, speaking subconsciously. Who asked you to kneel? Don't tell me you didn't listen. I only want for you and me to join hands, not to have you serve me. Tang San gave a cold laugh. What's the difference between surrender and giving up one's beliefs? If it was you, would you give up your lover, friends, nation, and everything to serve? I like life, and I also like righteousness. If I cannot keep the two together, I will let life go and choose righteousness. 1. You. The fury in Chen Rinchu's mind was finally truly ignited, and this moment was also when Tang San struck first. Watch this. With an explosive shout, golden light spread out. Quoting Mencius let him instantly raise his imposing manner to the peak. Tang San's left foot suddenly stepped forward, the sea god trident stabbing straight towards Chen Rinchu's chest without deviating. At the same time as the sea god trident thrust out, the sea god trident brand on his forehead was already shooting out a ray of deeply golden light, illuminating the sea god's heart. Golden light instantly radiated, the sea god's power fully surging. It seemed like a simple move, but Tang San put all his strength into it. With the left leg generating strength, explosive strength immediately spread, the powerful energy waves converging on the trident's blades. A ball of golden light exploded from the tip. The air twisted like water snakes around the sea god trident. All the power instantly condensed into a thin line by Tang San's control. This attack came when his momentum was at its peak, not a spirit ability yet surpassing spirit abilities. At the same time, the blue silver emperor was released, and simultaneously also the gloriously golden sea god trident. Tang San didn't know how strong god level powers were, but he understood from Chen Rinchu's presence that this might be his most bitter battle ever. The chance of escaping might not even be 10%. The only chance was going all out. Therefore, he didn't hesitate to release all his strength from the start, preparing to stake his life. Shaking god is human. Do you still not comprehend? Chen Rinchu simultaneously took a step forward, facing the sea god trident's blades without thought of retreat. Raising her right hand, her palm filled with golden light, directly grabbed the sea god trident's main blade. Sumptuous golden light instantly radiated. The instant Chen Rinchu's right hand came into contact with that golden light on the sea god trident's main blade, a golden light halo instantly flowed into the palm, turning her hand transparent, just as if it was made purely from energy. The sea god trident's golden light seemed to melt together with Chen Rinchu's palm as they met, enveloped by a layer of golden light transformed from the surface of Chen Rinchu's hand. It basically didn't stand a chance of erupting before it had cut into that golden crystal-like hand holding the sea god trident's main blade. The thrust of the sea god trident was like a giant wave lashing the shore, but Chen Rinchu's hand was like a towering mountain range. The two clashed, and the waves came to a sudden halt. That 108,000 jin weight, Tang San's all-out burst of spirit power, both instantly stopped, motion turning to quiet. The whole process only took a second, but the sea god trident still couldn't stab forward in the slightest, stopped rigidly by Chen Rinchu's hand. No energy attacked the sea god trident, and Tang San even felt that his sea god trident was still brimming with force, but no matter how he tried, he was still unable to move the weapon forward at all. Right now Chen Rinchu still hadn't even released her spirit. Gap. This word appeared in Tang San's mind, but the fighting spirit in his heart wasn't reduced. It would be strange if a god-level opponent was easy to deal with. Golden blue brilliance instantly spread out from below Tang San's feet like a ring of light, only spreading to the range between him and Chen Rinchu. Without a doubt, Tang San's blue-silver domain ability was concentrated into the smallest possible range. Surging golden blue light turned into an enormous golden blue pillar that shot towards the sky, terrifying energy waves substantially enlarging Tang San's imposing manner. The energy pouring into the sea god trident also grew geometrically, but just as this golden blue pillar shut up, at the same time as the energy within Tang San instantly climbed, there still came an even stronger golden light from within that golden blue. The shape of that golden light was a tiny six-winged angel. Disperse. A clear and cold word spat from Chen Rinchu's lips. The golden blue pillar almost instantly turned completely golden blue, and then into specks of golden light that condensed together and instantly scattered, just like countless falling stars. And Tang San's extremely condensed blue-silver domain thus disappeared. Chen Rinchu still hadn't released her spirit. She still seemed to calm. Only that little angel brand on her forehead was lit up like the sea god trident brand on Tang San's forehead, just much brighter. My dispersal can scatter any non-god level domain. It's useless. Tang San, even though I admit your strength grows very quickly, even surpassing my judgment, you are still only human even if your spirit power reaches rank 99. How could you defeat me? This god-level weapon is pretty good, but unfortunately, it's not held by a god. Even if it isn't held by a god, you still can't grasp the sea god's weapon. Tang San roared, his left hand abruptly grabbing the sea god trident. Before today, he had always relied on just his right hand to wield the sea god trident, to be able to release other support abilities with his left hand. This was the first time he grasped this divine tool with two hands. Tyrannical energy also burst forth in this instant, and at the same time, a hazy yellow brilliance poured into the sea god trident from his left arm. Chen Rinchu only felt the sea god trident instantly exert 10 times the force of before, even if she had already become the god of angels. In this moment she could no longer suppress the sea god trident. With a shout of alarm, she was flung back by that enormous momentum. At the same time that ball of golden light suppressed in her right hand exploded. The surging golden energy blast in her right hand high up. Even though it couldn't harm her, it still exposed her chest. How could Tang San let such a chance slip by? Charging forward, his body became one with the sea god trident, dashing quickly. At the same time, a bizarre cyan light instantly rushed into the sea god trident from his right arm, making the sea god trident's originally pure golden light turn into a mix of golden, blue and cyan. Just like a bolt of lightning from clear sky, an incomparably tyrannical three-colored lightning bolt shot from the tip of the sea god trident, heavily exploding against Chen Rinchu's chest. Chen Rinchu really was too conceited, basically not releasing her god-level spirit. After she became the seraphim god, her confidence had swelled enormously. She had never imagined Tang San could cause her any harm, but Tang San still suddenly launched such a severe counterattack while under her complete suppression. The sea god trident that she had clearly grasped still forcibly broke apart her force. Chen Rinchu's entire body was pervaded with a layer of golden, blue and cyan-colored lightning, flying uncontrollably high into the air. The paralysis made her half unconscious. However, god level was god level. Tang San's all-out attack with the sea god trident and sky blue fading thunderclap might have turned a tidal Douluo to ash by now. The sea god trident weighing 1,080,000 jin with gravity control only managed to push back Chen Rinchu, instead of skewering her. The opponent's carelessness finally gave Tang San a momentary chance. He understood that, facing a god-level power like Chen Rinchu, chances were gone faster than they came. With his ability it was nearly impossible to land successive attacks on her. Therefore, in this brief moment in control, Tang San immediately used his strongest attack ability. Half turning in midair, the sea god's light poured unreservedly into the sea god trident, deeply golden light instantly turning this divine tool illusory. The enormous golden energy instantly condensed into one stream, and the next moment the golden light shot out, chasing after Chen Rinchu like an illusion. It was the third form of the golden birding halberds. One goes without return. At the same time as he launched this, the 8 spider lancers on Tang San's back spit out 8 rays of golden light in pursuit of Chen Rinchu, like bolts of lightning. Facing a god-level opponent, Tang San also used the god-level attacks he was capable of. Under Chen Rinchu's formidable pressure, his current condition had reached an unprecedented peak. Flying through the air, the shocked Chen Rinchu had never expected Tang San to actually be able of such attacks. It naturally wasn't the sky blue fading thunderclap that paralyzed her, but rather the divine strength drawn by the sea god trident. The instant eruption of the 1,080,000 jin sea god trident was infinitely close to god-level strength. Tang San's follow-up attacks couldn't be called slow, but how could Chen Rinchu's god-level reactions be less? Flying through the air, the angel brand on her forehead was already bright. With a puff sound, 6 giant wings unfolded from her back. It was also in this instant that the golden wings forcefully scattered the thunderlight, and in Chen Rinchu's hand appeared a dazzling golden longsword. The moment the sword appeared was the moment the sea god trident arrived. Boom! Chen Rinchu flew back once again, the longsword in her hand just wedged between the sea god trident's main blade and side blade. Ever since Tang San learned the first 3 forms of the golden birding halberds, she was the first to block the one goes without return. But everything happened too quickly. Even though her sword of angels appeared in time, one goes without return was so overbearing that the golden light still glanced past her sides and cut open the skin on her left arm. Pure golden blood immediately dripped out. Only this true divine tool could harm the god-level Chen Rinchu. One god against one man, and the injured one was actually the god. Just this was enough for Tang San to be proud of. However, Tang San was still serious. The 8 spider lancers' 8 threads of swallowing light had no effect. Chen Rinchu only closed her 6 wings, defending herself. 8 golden stars brightened on Chen Rinchu's wings, and the 8 golden lights shot from the 8 spider lancers rebounded and scattered in the air. On only a moment, the sea god trident that had instantly reached 1,080,000 jin weight as well as used the divine ability one goes without return had pushed Chen Rinchu a kilometer away, showing how powerful the attack was. Having grown stronger in the Stardo Great Forest, Tang San had reached a new level, nearly able to show the full might of one goes without return. Unfortunately, right now he didn't have the strength to continue. Seeing Chen Rinchu instantly knocked into the distance, Tang San didn't hesitate to turn around and swiftly leave. Sticking close to the ground, he drilled into the Stardo Great Forest. The ocean wave-like sea god's power infused into her body through the wounds on her shoulders. The pain made Chen Rinchu sober up considerably. She knew she had still underestimated this man who could always create miracles. Seeing Tang San disappear into the forest, she still saw no other way. Comprehensively suppressed by the sea god trident, she couldn't release her true god level power and could only retreat. The entire process actually continued for 5 seconds. Tang San could actually suppress the god of angels for 5 seconds, let alone Chen Rinchu herself. Nobody would believe it. Finally, the sea god trident lightened. The 1,080,000 jin weight returned to 108,000. The brilliant golden color also faded, once again returning to black. Chen Rinchu also came to a stop in midair, raising the sword of angels. The sea god trident fell into her left palm. At the god level, even if 108,000 jin was very heavy to her, it wasn't impossible to carry. Fine, well done Tang San. However, now you don't even have the divine tool. How are you going to contend with me again? Chen Rinchu looked at the wound on her left shoulder. The pure golden blood had already stopped flowing, and by now she had expelled the sea god's divine power from her body. Just as she said before, it wasn't a god wielding the sea god trident. Without worrying about chasing Tang San, Chen Rinchu instead examined this dark but exceptionally heavy polearm. Previously, when the sea god trident was 1,080,000 jin, even she couldn't hold it. Even if she was already a god, the strength of gods still had limits. Back when Tang San first heard about gods, he said that gods are actually still powerful spirit masters, just spirit masters that had stepped into another realm. They weren't able to control the world. Otherwise the Douluo continent wouldn't look the way it did now. 1 million jin was the extreme limit of god's strength. Of course, this was already a quite frightening figure. Back then Sexy had strained to lift the 108,000 jin sea god trident, let alone when it weighed tenfold. While Chen Rinchu looked at the sea god trident she held, she suddenly smiled. Tang San, oh Tang San. Since you're also a spirit master cared for by a god, having lost this divine tool, will your god still care for you? Without it, how can you inherit divinity? Having already become a god, Chen Rinchu of course understood that the sea god trident she held was the same as Spirit Hall's most valuable treasure, the angelic raiment. They were both important articles of divinity. Without it, it was impossible for Tang San to inherit the sea god's place. Even if she was beaten back by Tang San, Chen Rinchu understood that this was just because she was too careless. Tang San's strength was still far from enough to constitute a threat to her. With her golding the sea god trident, Tang San had no chance of becoming a god, and it was naturally also impossible to become a true threat to her, let alone that he couldn't possibly escape her grasp. So what if she let him escape? Chen Rinchu had never been a mild-mannered person. The reason she directly tried to convince Tang San today rather than suppressing him with force really wasn't because Tang San was the only man she thought highly of. Chen Rinchu had never reflected on matters of emotion. The tragedy between her parents had already left her thoroughly disappointed in feelings. The reason she didn't want to easily harm Tang San was in the hope of forcing him to compromise with her, for the sake of Tang San's shadow that appeared when she became god. Tang San had become the largest weakness to her as god of angels. If she killed Tang San like this weakness could never be repaired. It would be a big problem if she faced an opponent on the same level, but if Tang San chose to submit to her, then her good opinion of him would shrink considerably. Tang San's position in her mind would shrink, and subsequently, she could slowly erase him from her heart. Only then could she truly amend this flaw. Moreover, as long as Tang San was by her side, this weakness in her heart wouldn't become a flaw. That's why Chen Rinchu plotted to persuade Tang San to compromise with her, even to the point that she didn't hesitate to throw out authority equal to hers as bait. Unfortunately, Tang San's character was even more unyielding than she thought, especially when Tang San used two classical lines from his previous world. His shadow in Chen Rinchu's heart grew even deeper. Better broken jade than intact tile. What a good line. Tang San, you really are worthy of the man I chose. Chen Rinchu looked in the direction Tang San disappeared, the corners of her mouth showing a complex smile, recalling Tang San's appearance from before, upright and fearless, shouting angrily. She couldn't keep her heart from undulating. The 6 golden wings on her back spread out, and with a flash of light and shadow, Chen Rinchu's figure flitted across the Stardo Great Forest like a golden shooting star. Tang San was unable to sense her presence through mental strength, but how would she be unable to target Tang San? Her flight speed could no longer be described as just fast. She crossed several kilometers in an instant. While flying, Chen Rinchu muttered to herself, I like life, and I also like righteousness. If I cannot keep the two together, I will let life go and choose righteousness. Tang San, oh Tang San, don't tell me you are destined to be the nemesis of my life. Yi. Chen Rinchu was targeting Tang San from the start, but now she suddenly shocked discovered that, as she sent out her divine power in pursuit, what appeared in front of her wasn't Tang San, but rather a tall and dense tuft of blue-silver grass. Holding the sea god trident and the sword of angels, she floated down in front of that blue-silver grass condensed into the shape of a man. Chen Rinchu suddenly didn't know whether to laugh or cry. As the god of angels, after she was actually hit by Tang San, she was then tricked. He was actually able to escape her divine strength. This really was far beyond Chen Rinchu's expectations, but it also made her feel like a cat toying with a mouse. Man and god, the gap in strength was doubtless a vast chasm, even though Tang San was already close to god level in several ways, and even close to completing the sea god's 8th trial. Right now he was still just a man, and not a god. But he also had his strongest point, at least in 2 kinds of circumstances. It was possible for him to escape Chen Rinchu's mental targeting. Of course, this was also due to Chen Rinchu's carelessness. If she'd attacked Tang San from the start before, Tang San absolutely wouldn't have time for tricks. These two areas were the forest and the sea. Tang San would inherit the sea god's position, and once in the sea he would possess survival abilities ordinary people wouldn't. Relying on the sea god's presence, the boundless ocean would shelter him. It would be extremely difficult even for god-level powers to hunt him in the sea. And in the forest, Tang San possessed the blue-silver domain with the ability to control all blue silvergrass. True, blue silvergrass were extremely weak, to the point that ordinary people could easily snap it. Compared to the lofty god of angels, blue silvergrass was definitely heaven and below ground, like dust compared to the glorious sun. But, thin strands with thick ropes, and in this dense Douluo great forest, how many blue silvergrass were there? In the moment of danger, Tang San had hidden the forest and immediately released the blue silver domain again, and moreover expanded it to the greatest degree, releasing the blue silver domain's evolved abilities. Boundless nature and all rivers running to the sea took effect simultaneously, absorbing the energy of the blue silver grass and returning him to peak condition, exploiting their effect to fully meld together with the blue silver grass in the forest. His method to puzzle Chen Rinchu was to turn his presence into a blue silver grass, and to strengthen the presence of all blue silver grass for an instant. He used that instant of contrast to forcefully escape Chen Rinchu's mental lock. At the same time he used the blue silver grass to simulate his presence to escape in one direction, while he himself relied on the blue silver emperor right leg bone's flight ability to fly close to the ground. Tang San's escape method was now simple and extremely cautious. Besides relying on the blue silver emperor right leg bone's ability, he relied on the blue silver domain to restrict himself, and then escaped after releasing the vast sea barrier stealth ability. Just using the blue silver emperor right leg bone he could undoubtedly keep his aura unanimous with the blue silver grass without mistakes, and with such multi-layered protection, even Chen Rinchu wouldn't have a way to deal with him quickly in the Douluo Great Forest. Finding him wouldn't be easy. The key issue was that Chen Rinchu was too overconfident. Even when Tang San harmed her with the sea god trident, she still didn't regard Tang San as an opponent she had to spend much effort on. However, Chen Rinchu didn't stay careless long. Standing in front of the human-shaped blue silver grass, she temporarily stabbed the sea god trident into the ground. Pressing her hand to her forehead, a circle of golden light instantly spread out with her as the center. This time, she wasn't just scanning with mental strength, but rather searched the Douluo Great Forest with her divine senses. Searching for Tang San's tracks, the golden light spread into the surroundings at a rate of a kilometer per moment, and in just the time it takes for a meal, she could scan the entire range of the Douluo Great Forest. How was it possible? As the hand left her forehead, having completed the scan, Chen Rinchu couldn't help talking to herself from astonishment, because even when she scanned with her divine senses, she still couldn't find any tracks of Tang San. She was very certain that Tang San was still within the Douluo Great Forest. He couldn't possibly leave so quickly, and that her divine senses couldn't find him meant that he was now using a god-level escape ability. Chen Rinchu's expression instantly turned serious. This was her first action after becoming god of angels. Originally she was preparing to head for the front line at Jelling Pass and take control of the Spirit Empire army. While passing by the Douluo Great Forest she sensed enormous energy fluctuations, and her divine senses urged her to take a look, finding the scene of Tang San killing the 315-ton Ant Emperor brothers and absorb their spirit rings in one go. Having come across Tang San, she of course wouldn't let the chance by, but who could have thought that, after they chatted, in one exchange, the one who lost out was her, and moreover that Tang San even escaped. If she gained anything, it was the sea god trident she held, but Chen Rinchu had closely checked before, and her angelic power was fundamentally unable to enter this weapon, let alone using it. She couldn't even destroy it easily. This was the same as her sword of angels, a true divine instrument. Now unable to find any tracks of Tang San after scanning with her divine senses, Chen Rinchu immediately turned serious. In her first battle after becoming a god, Tang San escaped. That was her loss. How could she resign herself to that? No matter what he said, aren't you in the Douluo Great Forest? You're definitely relying on some sea god treasure plus the blue silver domain to hide from me. Fine, then I'll wait you out. I want to see if you can leave. As long as you exit the Douluo Great Forest, you won't be screened by the presence of the Douluo Great Forest. You won't be able to hide from my divine senses. Thinking of this, Chen Rinchu didn't move, withdrawing the 6 angel wings on her back. The sword of angels also turned into golden light and disappeared into her. Removing the clothes cut open at the shoulder, she changed into a new palatial robe, then sat down cross-legged in front of the blue silver grass effigy. She wasn't sitting on the ground, but in the air, suspended cross-legged 2 meters from the ground. Her skin occasionally flashed with faint golden light, as if she was shining. Only the angel brand on her forehead stayed bright the whole time. With every third breath, a golden ring of light rippled out with her as center, scanning the Douluo Great Forest. From now on, Chen Rinchu showed the power of god-level strength. Nearly constantly scanning the entire forest didn't seem particularly exhausting to her. Even with the blue silver domain, Tang San was still far away from doing that. If Tang San appeared in her divine sense search, Chen Rinchu was determined not to let him escape again. When Chen Rinchu did her first scan, Tang San had turned completely rigid when that strange golden light swept across the vast sea barrier. Crawling to the ground, he quietly waited for the divine sense to sweep past. Possessing the blue silver domain, he of course knew what Chen Rinchu was doing. She was scanning the same way he did, only he could clearly feel that Chen Rinchu's divine sense search was far stronger than his blue silver domain search. Fortunately, he always kept the blue silver domain within himself, and adding the vast sea barrier stealth effect, thus deceiving the god of angels' divine senses. Only, Tang San also whined to himself. He naturally also thought of what Chen Rinchu thought of, even if there was a gap between the divine sense scans, and Tang San could use this gap to move inside the Douluo Great Forest. Once he reached the edge, he discovered that he couldn't leave. His mental strength clearly felt wave after wave of divine sense constantly sweeping past him, flying out and gradually disappearing around the Douluo Great Forest. He knew that, as long as he put one foot outside the Douluo Great Forest, the next instant he would be discovered by Chen Rinchu. He didn't imagine he was faster than her. 1. A quote from Mencius, search for you can't have both fish and bear's paw.